After 4 losses in a row, I'm just as frustrated as you. And it's fair to be. Matt Rhule's 1-8 in one-score games, 0-8 when there's a chance to clinch a bowl. And the fact is, Nebraska's one of the worst Power 4 teams in the nation. Whether you blame the scheme, the refs, or the players, there's only one person held accountable when they fail to meet expectations, and that's the head coach. Rule's reputation's been built on year-over-year progress, but 13 weeks into this season, and there's an argument that he hasn't made any. So today, I'll give you my thoughts on what he's done so far and what needs to happen if he wants to salvage this season. But what's up, guys? I'm Connor Hayden, and this is Crazed. If you're a fan of Nebraska or the Big Ten, hit the subscribe button since we're less than 50 away from 23,000. And if you liked Holgerson's play calling at USC, hit the like button and help us get to 1,000. But now, let's get into it.
He's hit and he's taking a shot downfield, wide open end zone, caught, touchdown.
Everybody's got an opinion, and these are some of the most popular takes I've seen pop up in my comment section after last week's loss. Jeff says Dylan looks like trash and needs to be benched for Heinrich Harburg, which might be a good idea if the staff was going to give up on Raiola. But how can you bench the one guy on offense who you're building the entire game plan around? Not to mention the impact he's had on recruiting. Dawson Merritt's coming to play with him. Cortez Mills and Michael Terry are both in play because of him. You can criticize the scheme or the play calling, but the offense won't look any better with their backup QB. Husker Devil says the defense is fraudulent and that he prays Tony White's gone next year. But did he forget what they looked like before he got here? In 2022, Nebraska finished in the bottom 30 nationally, and in the 2 years since, they jumped over 70 spots. I agree that they folded this week, and Rhule acknowledged the DBs were out of position on multiple big plays that led to scores, but that's not Tony White's fault. That's poor player execution. Is the defense overrated based on their national ranking? Probably. Are they a work in progress that's played well enough to win 8 games this year? Absolutely. Reaper says this team lacks playmakers, speed, and power, which might be the most truthful comment we've looked at so far. If you looked at the entire Big Ten and which teams have the most NFL talent or All-American caliber players, where does Nebraska rank? It's pretty damn low. And that's not a personal attack on any of the players. Nebraska's got plenty of talent to win, and they matched up great with one of the best rosters in the nation at Ohio State. It's just hard to close out games when the talent on offense, defense, and special teams can't consistently execute at a high enough level. But how's Matt Rhule addressing these issues, and are there signs that we're going to see improvement? Start at QB. Rhule inherited Harburg and Purdy. He pulled the trigger on Sims, but after he recognized the mistake, he brought in the top QB in last year's class. Did Sat have shortcomings? Clearly. But Rhule did add an NFL coach in Glenn Thomas. Then he moved on from Sat after he proved to be the wrong fit this season. We all agree that was the wrong OC to begin with, but it took Luke Fickell just as long to fire his guy, and I'm just glad we saw an aggressive approach to right the ship instead of giving up and wait until next season. On defense, Rhule's been outstanding. The jump they made against the run has been night and day. 8 underclassmen recruited in these last 2 cycles are playing significant roles, and the position coaches are getting more out of their units than we ever saw before. Again, they aren't perfect, but they've done enough to win 9 of the last 13 games they played. And last are the athletes and playmakers. You've got 2 ways to acquire more. One's from high school and 2's through the portal. And before you say the portal's the right way to go, let's be realistic about Nebraska's opportunity to land enough big names to make them a day 1 winner with that strategy. Unlike Signetti, Deion Sanders, and Lane Kiffin, Rhule didn't have recent success at another school or a roster with elite talent that he could pull from. To get guys to come to Nebraska, it'd be all about money, and we saw how that went for Florida State. Year 1 saw Malachi Coleman, Jalen Lloyd, and Demetrius Bell. Year 2 saw Carter Nelson, Ja'Cory Barney, Willis McGahee, and Keona Davis. This next class ranks higher than both, and it could include the most 4-star players Nebraska's ever pulled. I know you're tired of being patient, but on the recruiting front, there's been progress. And I want to get into that more, but first, I got to shout out today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Last week, we crushed it on NBA, college football, and the NFL. Rope turned 20 into 200 on NFL Sunday, and he would have won another 300 if Justin Jefferson caught one more pass. Collector turned 20 into 90 with Dylan Raiola, Ethan Garbers, and Shedeur Sanders all hitting their yard and touchdown lines. Tyler uses Mike Tyson promo with Austin Reeves from the Lakers to turn 25 into 75. And we had a bunch of other winners posted in the Discord from games last week and this weekend that paid out another few $100s. If you haven't tried the app yet, you can sign up with our promo code CORN and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. And you don't even have to win to get that $50 promo. Just sign up, make a $5 play, and get your $50 when you use our code. Prize Picks is available in Nebraska, California, Texas, and over 30 other states. So if you see your state colored in, you can play there. I'll give out my picks on our Friday night live stream and in our Corn Crazed Discord group. But if you want to make a lineup and get in on the action with us, you can use our promo code and join us over there. But let's go back to recruiting, because this class ranks 20th nationally, and they're still working to flip Cortez Mills from Oklahoma, and Michael Terry, the number one athlete in the class, still hasn't committed to Texas. He met with Nebraska staff last week, and it sounds like he's waiting until signing day to make his decision. If you want to salvage the season, you got to put yourself in position to sign difference makers that can help next year. And as bad as we need to see a winner today, building towards the future is way more important. They've still got 2 games left, though. One at home, where Nebraska's the favorite, and they're both winnable. You look back to Saturday, and the way they lost pisses people off, but USC played the best they have in weeks. If Holgorsen can make any improvement going into a second game, they should be more productive and probably win at home. I was watching the presser this morning, and Dana called out a few things. First was the perimeter blocking. He said there are too many big bodies in that room, and if guys want the ball, they have to block, or he's going to go with somebody who will. Then he mentioned finding a young guy that can help the offense this week, and I'm not sure who he's talking about, but he's looking for the best weapons to feature, and if they're on the bench now, he's going to give them a chance to prove it on game day. And last was his interest in the running game. He said they need more production out of that group, and backs need to make guys miss. So the idea that he's just an air raid coach who won't try to balance things out obviously isn't true. Again, go back to the title of this video and salvaging the season. Win 6 and we feel okay about the finish since there's a bowl game. Win 7 and we're talking about a team who met our preseason expectations. A win means an extra month of bowl practice. Holgorsen gets a head start going into 2025, and Raiola builds a relationship with an OC who's much more qualified to work with a quarterback of his caliber. I've made videos like this in the past when it felt like the sky was falling. I talked about their special teams, I talked about the defense's tackling, players' mindsets, and everything else that held them back from winning. But I don't have anything bad to say about 90% of the team. The kicking game's improved enough. The defense that got beat by an exceptional play caller and freak athletes at USC could hold these next 2 offenses to less than 14. And the only area we have to see improvement is on offense. Run better, throw it better, don't turn it over, and you did it. You saved the season. Some people measure success on whether or not Matt Rhule's made progress at Nebraska, and to figure that out, we got to point out some key metrics. So I'm going with recruiting, player development, culture, and ability to win. Recruiting step 1 to being successful in college football. You have to bring in guys who not only are gifted athletes that can compete at a high level, but who fit your scheme and improve the team you've put in place before they got there. As a high school recruiter, Rhule's been great. They landed multiple star players in every position group, and they continue to show that they can add more. As a portal recruiter, he's been hit and miss. MJ Sherman, Sierra Wright, and Dowdell all played huge roles. Mazuka, Nayor, and Banks are all important pieces, but they've underperformed based on their past and their potential. Maybe you blame Satterfield, but either way, those guys should have done more this season. As far as player development goes, we've seen huge improvement in that area. 11 freshmen and sophomores play significant snaps, and guys like Barney, Lenhart, and McGahee look like future all-conference performers. As much heat as he takes for making a few bad hires, Rhule doesn't get enough credit for making the right ones in other spots. When you talk about culture, it's usually tied to winning, but Nebraska hasn't done that yet. So they've still got work to do in this area since their efforts been hit or miss. One week they can beat a top 25 Colorado team by 18, and then the next they'll come out flat like they don't even want to be there. When Frost was around, he wasn't just losing games, he was losing all of his best recruits. And if Rhule can at least hold on to these guys, even though the team's still in building mode, that says a lot about how these players feel about each other and how they feel about the staff. Last is their ability to win. And right now, they haven't shown they can. Because even though they fixed their turnover issue and they found a QB who can throw it, the offense still can't score. Nobody expected them to beat USC, but losing to Illinois and UCLA at home were clear signs that this team was pretty far behind the rest of the teams in this conference. The idea that Rhule hasn't made any progress seems ridiculous. He inherited a program on the decline, and before he could build him back into a winner, the first step was to stop the bleeding. They haven't improved on their win total yet, so it hasn't completely stopped, but a win this week or next could completely change that narrative. Progress in recruiting and culture means wins are going to come in time as the roster matures. Progress to a fan base that's been so frustrated for the past 10 years is strictly defined by wins and losses. But progress to me is incremental improvement that shows they're washing away the negatives that held them back and get them one step closer to the main objective. I said the floor was 6 wins this season, and I still believe that to be true. I also said if they won less than 6, that major changes would come, and these last few weeks are evidence that that's true. If you ask me how confident I am in Matt Rhule, I'd tell you I still feel the same as I did before the season, because I'm betting on the idea that he makes the right hires to maximize the talent that he brings in. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comments below. Have you seen progress under Matt Rhule, or wins your only benchmark? Is player execution or coaching more important to improve on where they finish this year? And how do you feel about the Matt Rhule era so far? I know it's annoying to see the losses, but do you see a path to more success, or are you doubting that he's the right guy to turn things around? For a coach that came in with a 4-year plan, he's getting a lot of heat from people who expect him to win big in year 2. But that's all I've got for today. So until next time, thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Go Big Red.